All right, guys. So as an example of resilience, I was unable to use PowerPoint like I thought I would. So here we are. We are going to do what we can do to give you guys a presentation. This is me, Epiphany LaPlante, with resilience across the lifespan, examples from my life. I relate to Tigger. I'm bouncy, but the quick recovery that Charles alludes to in his resiliency definition eluded me for a long time. I came into this world with a knack for adapting, which likely came from the adopting and the resulting abandonment trauma. Gabor Mate's work indicates that we are affected by our mother's stress levels in utero. Perhaps that's where my resiliency journey began. In my life, the outcome orientation was built by modeling the escape behaviors of my alcoholic parents to get through adverse experiences until I learned better. And the process orientation, that was 100% a construction process. I have a low reserve of physical contributing factors to resilience, and my social factors have, for most of my life, been mostly maladaptive, though that has changed. Fortunately, I was able to use the vast problem-solving skills I have to navigate all that adversity. When I became adaptable is not as important as how adaptable and flexible I have become. Chameleon or not, I'm not upset by changes, even when they're sudden and unexpected. This is my lifespan perspective. On the left is Tammy Lynn Reynolds, which is me at 2 months old, just after I was retrieved from the unwed mother's facility I was born in. Trait resilience allowed me to thrive even with no parental bonding those first 8 weeks. Right next to her on the right is Lori Ann Houston, which is also me, the little adopted girl who was not exactly what her new parents wanted in a blue-eyed boy, but she would do for now. There she is at 16 on the right, barely turned and barely driving right before she ran away from home, once and for all. Early experiences affect adolescent resilience, and I'm proof. Bottom left is the day I met my biological mother and brother for the first time. I was 45 years old. It's been a wonderful experience getting to know the nature versus nurture perspective right in my own life. The one next to that on the right is me on my 52nd birthday. I was finally moving forward and recovering from a rebound relationship I had gotten into after my husband died with a narcissist, and it had taken me 2 years to get this far. Bottom right is me now, Epiphany Ann LaPlante, the grown woman who legally changed her name in 2019 because her adoptive mother had weaponized the one she gave her. And every time I heard it, it made me cringe. So I went and changed it legally, and now I'm more resilient than ever in my entire life, and I'm much quicker to rebound as well. My life stage examples across the lifespan were that in childhood, I had challenges such as birth trauma, divorced parents when I was 9, and a whole pile of conditional love. However, my friend Jody, who lived around the corner from me, had a mom who was an example of how it looks to receive unconditional love and what it looks like to get support from your parents. And she helped me see what secure attachment could look like. In my adolescence, I was a misfit. I was that square peg that never fit in a round hole or any other hole for that matter, and I never felt like I belonged. I succumbed to peer pressure at the age of 12, started smoking weed. I never had emotional management teachings, examples. I just didn't have emotional management skills for quite a long time in my life, but I did get good mentorship from Jody's mom in that area as well during my adolescence. In adulthood, I had two different careers, one while I was a single mom of two and another while I was a single mom of four. I experienced many problems, but I developed an excellent amount of strategy. I had a lot of friends for social support that I had for most of my life until I was in my 30s. In my later years, there was so much loss. I lost husband, all of my parents, and finally my son 7 years ago. I lost marriages, and I lost my career when I had to go on disability in 2000. I did find other ways to be meaningful. I found creativity, and I learned to pivot as new health issues showed up that needed to be navigated. I went to therapy. I went to dialectical behavioral therapy, and I've been practicing yoga now for almost a year on and off. Once a cynic, I am now an optimist who seeks silver linings and thrives on gratitude. I resonated with Jeanette Walls in The Glass Castle as I read of her adaptivity and quick pivots in strategy. I once had a maladaptive support system with too many acquaintances that I used to call friends. Now I'm content with a few connections that are healthy, true friendships. If circumstances change, there's always something else we can find meaning in. When my nest became empty, I started a little hobby business called Must Be Felt, where I could sell my fiber arts. Since I am aging, this biopsychosocial resiliency model is relevant for me as I'm in the latter stages of my lifespan. The important thing is that I can use the skills in one domain to compensate for one that's not as strong while I'm fortifying that one. For instance, my genetics simply suck. My biological family has diabetes, COPD, and major cardiovascular issues. It's just a lot of stuff. And I have a stack of diagnoses that let me know the physical domain is not my strong suit. So I focus on keeping this body as healthy as possible under the circumstances and while I build resilience in that area. Cognitively, I'm in a better place than ever in my life, so there's a strength I can rely on while improving in other areas. And psychosocially, everything is improving, though I could stand to gain some in-person friendship support. I've developed my internal locus of control through therapy and lots of work. I trust myself today. I've set goals, and I feel as if I found my purpose for this time of my life. I always look for silver linings. Yeah, I stand in the rain a lot. And I don't believe I'll ever stop learning, growing, and expanding beyond who I am now. My finances are improving, and the outlook is good for the future now that I've gone to school. I'm 25 days into a daily yoga practice after taking a break for surgery. I'm eating healthier than ever. I feel a sense of peace, and I know that I'm a survivor thriving. It has been a lifelong journey of gaining resilience. And this is nowhere near the end of it for me at 64. I'm just getting started. What questions do you have?